Hello, everybody. This is Megan,
And this is Alana.
and welcome to Tea Time Crimes.
Hello.
Hey, we've got the silky smooth Alana today. How you doing?
I'm good.
What's new?
Lots of things.
Oh, really? You got a horse in the backyard? What's going on?
Oh my God, I wish. Don't tell Chris. I got a ring.
Can you be more specific?
It's an Aura ring. It's like a Fitbit, but way more intense. It like reads all your stuff. It has like temperature sensors and like all the things. So that's
Wow, do you like it?
exciting. So far, yeah, I love this kind of stuff, piling all the data. It's supposed to be able to predict when you're sick, when you're getting sick.
Oh, that would do me in. I would be freaking out. I don't think I could handle the predictive quality. Like, well, that's it. Might as well just go to the hospital.
But that's what the funny thing is. It has a readiness score, a sleep score, and an activity score. The
What's a
readiness
readiness?
score, it's like you're ready for the day, go get it, or like you could use some rest, take it easy today. And it's told me to take it easy 3 days in a row, and I ignored it. As I do.
I was gonna say you're not. There's no way you're listening to that. I would absolutely listen to it. I would be like, listen, I'm gonna have to cancel all my meetings today because my ring tells me that I'm a little sleepy. Thanks.
So that's my one update. My other update, which I am excited about. So I'm joining the Louisiana Mattress
Club. Wow. That sounds, I don't know if I want to hear about it. Well, I don't even know where this is going.
No. The Louisiana Master Naturalist program. So
I still don't know what you said.
Master Naturalist.
Master?
Naturalist. Yeah.
Hit the T. Master Naturalist?
Naturalist.
Wait, so are you getting a master's?
No, it's just
okay.
you're like a certified naturalist after the program. And so each month we'll go to different nature sites across Louisiana or like Southeast Louisiana and learn about stuff. I found a stink mushroom yesterday. It's very exciting.
Oh, Lord help us.
Stink
Define a naturalist.
It's someone who views the world and senses the world and is a little bit more tuned into nature. Like you look at something in nature and say, what is that? Why is that? Like that kind of thing.
All right, class, step outside. What is that? Class complete. Thank you.
And so we're going to be learning lots of species and like, you know, how to examine stuff.
So this is basically foraging on steroids.
Yes.
God help us. Okay. All right, here we go. You didn't tell me this. I can see why.
So we had our orientation yesterday, and it's like basically one thing each month, like going to a different site.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was really cool. And it's cool to be around other like nature nerds too.
Do they all wear outfits like you where you look like Luigi?
I mean, the instructors passed around, quote, science pants that we all need to get.
Yep. I'm going to love the pictures. And so the mattress club will just be on the weekends.
Yeah. That's after 8 p.m.
After 8? Whoa.
Yeah.
Really? That's a little earlier than I would think for a mattress club, but all right. Wow, well that's really cool. And then what will you do with that certificate? Will you just show it around or
maybe throw it on my resume or you have to like keep up volunteer hours. So it also like gives you access into like different programs and opportunities and classes and stuff like that.
Cool. How long's the program? 6 months?
Yep, 6 months. So it's like something each month. I think there's one in every state. So if you want to become one.
But if anybody else would like to, I have zero interest in it. I'm very excited for you.
Yeah,
but
I
would just be like, are we going outside again? Could I just do it from my house? Thanks. All right. Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah. Those my news pieces.
I love it. You want to top it off with a tea review?
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. So, Chris was recently in Hawaii. He brought back some tea. And so this is, I'm going to say it wrong, of course.
I mean, we're all hoping you do.
Oribe Tea Co. And it's Hawaiian Breakfast Tea. You know, I love an Irish breakfast, an English breakfast. This is Hawaiian breakfast. So
what's in it?
Very thoughtful. Black tea, shredded coconut, and cacao.
Okay, so just black tea with coconut.
Yeah, and a little chocolate.
Okay.
Oribe, nope. Hold on.
Every time is different.
Oribe tea
Okay.
is inspired by Hawaiian life. Pure island flavors that are meant to refresh your soul and transport you to a place where worries disappear into the glimmering ocean. Take a few minutes to enjoy a glass of simple relaxation made right here in Hawaii.
They always oversell a tea.
I mean,
no cup of tea has ever transcended me.
How about Kolkata?
It was delicious, but I didn't feel like I was in another world. Did you?
Maybe not. I don't know. That was a pretty life-changing experience for me.
It's never made all of my worries go away.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, I just wanted to point out the tea we had last time, the evening in Missoula tea.
Yeah.
I've had it since I could taste regularly, and I just love it. I just want to make sure that listener knows that.
Yeah, that listener is awesome.
Truly. All right, we're going to...
If we gave out favorite listener awards, she'd win for this month.
Oh my God, we should do that. Okay.
She wins this month. She's the first one on the books.
It smells
good.
Like coconut. It tastes like coconut.
Smells like coconut, tastes like coconut. All right. I'm sensing a theme. Oh, spit take. I'm 2 for 3 this year.
You are. There's body to it. It's an average body, you know?
Nothing to write home about. It does what it can. It's functional, but it needs to really dress to its shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't taste the cacao at all. It's good. This is good. It's a good tea. There's not going to be any shoulder shimmying around it, but it's good. I'm not in the glimmering ocean, though, as we talked about.
You haven't transcended time and are swimming with the dolphins right now as you sip that beverage?
But the coconut does like to linger. Like it's like, marches its average body through. And then
it's got confidence.
Yes. And then it just hangs out. Like that's the mellow Hawaiian part where just like the coconut hangs out on a hammock on your tongue. Under your tongue. Yeah. I'm going to give it a coconutty thumbs up.
All right, Matt.
I enjoy it. I would recommend it.
Oh, really? I wasn't sure.
I mean, if it's a thumbs up, I recommend
it. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know what's going on with this meeting.
That's fair.
It's chaos. All right, cool. Are you ready for the case now?
I don't like the way you're smiling.
It's just some details I'm very excited to share with you.
Oh, God.
Okay, ready?
Ready.
It's 1831.
Yeah.
We are in the East End of London in Whitechapel.
G'day, mate. Oh, no, that's Australia.
Perfect. 84-year-old Caroline Walsh supports herself selling threads, tapes, lace on the streets. So every single morning, Caroline heads out around 10 or 11, and she makes just enough to get by, as you might imagine. Thread isn't super pricey.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
And despite her 84 years, Caroline has her own teeth, which is really the gem of this story. I don't think all of them, but like the front ones.
That's incredible.
Unbelievable. This woman should be given an award for genetics. And she's described as very tall and hardy.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, let me set the scene because London in the 1800s, like any big city at the time, is pretty dirty. And Whitechapel is an area that was struggling with severe poverty. It's described, the whole of London is described as being full of soot and caked with mud. But it's not really mud.
No.
It's horse poop.
No.
Yeah. And we only always focus on the poop, but the horse urine, the ammonia is so strong. It's a real problem.
I'm out. I can't do that.
Now, that's just for the regular streets that you're walking on, okay? For humans, there are cesspools in place. So a cesspool is about 6x4 brick structure. And if you're in the country, right, or on a farm, it's away from the house. But if you're in a busy city like we are, it's in the basement. And the bathroom just sits on top of it. The idea being that any liquid would just be absorbed into the ground. And then anything solid, the night soil men would take care of that.
What?
Yeah, I'm unlocking a new fear. They go in at night, shovel it out, put it in a cart, and sell it in the country as manure.
But it's human.
Yeah. So add to this.
Oh my God.
Beautiful hygiene. You're in a cramped building because the area we're talking about is the city, which means access to clean water is an absolute luxury. Yeah. Often there's a single pump, which is controlled by the owners of the building, and they only turn it on for certain times. So it'll be, on Wednesday from 2 to 4.
I couldn't live like this.
You got to fill up your buckets for the week.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So good luck keeping clean. Okay?
I'm running away.
And imagine the diseases
that
are just floating around that they don't even know. This description had me wanting a chamber pot. Do you know what I mean? This is brutal. So the fact that Caroline is 84 and healthy is even more wild. Unbelievable. Alana just dropped her entire microphone.
Hold on. Oh, okay, we're all good. Hello. Yep. Welcome to Tea Time Crimes. A mess.
Are we back?
We're back to the shithole.
Yeah, literally. So anyway, Caroline had lived with her granddaughter, Anne, and I don't know how to say this last name. I looked it up. It's Buton. Buton. I've also seen it with an R, so Bruton. Anyway, we're just gonna call her Anne. Anne in Long Lane. They lived together for a while, and then her granddaughter secured her a place to stay with a Mrs. Shaw. But on the 19th of August, Caroline decided to move in with their old neighbor, Eliza Ross. The two families had lived next to each other at number 2 Red Line Court previously, so they knew each other.
Okay.
Eliza lives in a garret in Goodman's Yard, which is basically an attic, or is an attic. It's 11 by 13. It houses Eliza, her partner, Edward Cook, and their 12-year-old son, Edward Jr. So I'm going to call the dad Cook and the son Edward.
Okay.
Despite no longer living together, Anne and her grandmother are still really close. That's why she secured Caroline a place to stay with a woman that she knows. She's not super pumped about Caroline going to live with Eliza because, well, we'll get into maybe Eliza's reputation, but Eliza's also being really pushy about it. She keeps asking Caroline to move in over and over and over and over again, and Anne is just not into it.
It's a little weird.
So when Anne hears this news that she's going to go live with Eliza, she heads over to the house. When she gets there, only Edward, the 12-year-old, is there, but she sees Caroline's belongings kind of piled up in the corner, which is her bedding. So she's going to carry everything she owns with her, right? She's got like a little mattress and blankets and night clothes, and that's bundled up under the window. So Anne goes back out, finds her grandmother, and they chit-chat, and she confirms that she is staying with Eliza, and they agree to meet the next morning around 9 a.m. Okay. So next morning, and they have an appointment.
9 a.m.
Goes back to Eliza's, 9 a.m. Eliza answers the door, says she has just gone out. And she tells Anne, though, what a great night they had. They had so much fun together. They had
mattress club.
Yes, they had meat and potatoes, and then she slept in the same bed with them, which I think is weird. And Anne also feels that that's weird because she knows her grandmother, and she knows that her grandmother, 1, has her own bedding, and 2, prefers to sleep alone. She's not interested in the mattress club or any cuddles. She thinks that's weird. Anne also notices lying on the bed a piece of material that's out of place, not bedding. It looks like a sack material, like coarse burlap sack material. And she asks, well, why is that on the bed? And Eliza says, well, Caroline doesn't have a shift, which is like the undergarment, probably the afternoon use as a nightgown or under your nightgown. And knows that she does because she got it for her. And if Caroline didn't have one, then she would ask Anne to get her one. Anne, she's got the spidey sense tingling now. She's not loving this. She knows something's up.
Yep.
And she's kind of just trying to assess the situation, and Eliza just keeps rambling. Oh, you promised your grandmother a small tub, a frying pan, a coffee pot. Why don't you just go ahead and bring those over so we have them? And I'm heading out anyway. Do you want to come with me? Why don't you buy me a drop of gin?
Whoa. Presumptuous.
Eliza's a known gin drinker, and it's not. Nobody loves it. And, of course, that's the last thing she wants to do, but she's also smart. So she thinks maybe if I get Eliza drunk, she'll start talking.
Okay.
So she agrees. They go to a pub, and Anne goes to buy Eliza a beer, and Eliza says, no, I don't like beer. I only like gin. Fine. They go to Bishop's Gin Shop.
I mean, me too, but okay.
And then to Brown's Public House. And Anne, during this, I don't know, weird happy hour at
really weird
9 a.m. in the morning, she keeps asking about her grandmother. And then she says, it's just so weird that Caroline didn't wait for me, that my grandmother didn't wait for me. We had an appointment to meet up. And Eliza says, this is a quote, you seem to think from what you say that we have murdered the woman.
What?
I mean, I do now.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just thought maybe she left, but now I do.
How old is Anne again? Sorry.
Anne's 29.
Okay.
Yeah. Eliza's 33. Caroline's 84. So Eliza follows this. What's that?
With all the teeth.
Yeah. With at least the front teeth. She follows it up. Eliza follows this up with, from what you seem to say, you think we have destroyed her at our place.
Whoa.
She continues with, why don't you come over for lunch? Anne says, no, I'm good. Not interested in having lunch with you because you just implied that you murdered my grandmother, but maybe another time. Anne said Eliza was so insistent. She asked over and over and over again that finally Anne just gave Eliza money and said, go out, get lunch, and bring it back to the pub, and we'll eat here.
But isn't that exactly how, like, she was so insistent on Caroline, too?
I know. Yeah. Well, yeah. So Eliza takes the money to go get bread and cheese, and she just never comes back. Solid. After waiting for her for a little while and realizing she's not coming back with my money or my bread or cheese, she takes to the streets and she starts looking for her grandmother and kind of all her usual haunts, right? All her usual selling places. She can't find her anywhere. Nobody's seen her. Then Anne goes to a couple pawn shops, and then she returns back to the Ross Cook house between 5 and 6 p.m. When she arrives this time, both Eliza and Cook, they're not married, so her partner, are home. And of course, is there for one reason only. She's not there to chit-chat. So she instantly, where's my grandmother? You seen her?
Right.
Eliza, with her hands, shushes Anne. Like, shh, don't say anything.
What?
Pointing to Cook. Anne waits until Cook leaves the room. And when he does, Eliza tells Anne that Cook had beat her most unmercifully.
Caroline?
Because, no, that Cook had beat Eliza for going out with Anne. And Anne can see that Eliza has marks all over her face. So that's probably true. What do you do with this? Anne leaves and goes home. But she continues to search, going to hospitals, jails, workhouses.
God.
She cannot find her grandmother anywhere.
It's such a rough time, too. It's not like you could put out, like...
I know, right?
I feel like the cops aren't going to... I don't know. We'll see. But that's so hard. You feel
think about,
like, helpless.
Even just putting out a poster. You're not going to Staples and copying 100, right?
You gotta fucking
You're hand drawing every single one. I mean, that's ridiculous. You're not going to do that. You're not even getting a poster out. After the weekend, Anne returns to Eliza's house.
Yeah.
And Cook is there again, and he says, you should just stop looking. By the end of the month, she'll turn up either dead or alive.
What the fuck?
The empathy for this gentleman is off the charts.
Yeah.
Now, during this visit, nearly 10 times, Eliza asks Anne to spend the night.
This is weird.
Yeah, the transitions that this woman thinks are acceptable. Like, hey, your grandmother's missing and you think I murdered her. Do you want to grab lunch? Maybe
Do you want to sleep in my basement cesspool?
Yeah. Oh, you still haven't found your grandmother? Would you like to have a slumber party with me and my abusive jerk of a husband?
Yeah.
Does that sound fun to you? So Anne is like,
weird.
No. And Eliza says, well, maybe if you sleep in your grandmother's bed, she'll come back. Like her grandma. I mean, it's not like she's an animal and you put out, and they tell you like an animal's missing, like put their litter box out on the porch, put food out, and they'll come home. It's like, Caroline's not going to smell Anne in her bed and run home. That's not how that works. And so Anne is a hard pass. I'm going to go home because you guys are the worst.
She must regret so much letting her grammar go to Eliza.
Her grammar go? Yeah, she just dropped those commas like left and right. She was just, she was breaking all the rules. She told her grandmother not to stay there. Her grandmother is an 84-year-old woman and did it on her own. But Anne has a sister named Lydia Basie, and Lydia's helping her look as well. Yep. They are both, hitting the streets, going to all the places that an 84-year-old woman might end up if she were actually had an accident somewhere. And Eliza really doesn't know where she is. Eventually, Anne goes to the police because they just cannot find her anywhere, and she has not turned up. And it takes very little effort for the police to realize that right after Caroline went missing, Eliza sold all her clothes at a rag fair.
What?
Yeah. So, unless Caroline's walking around naked and nobody noticed, Eliza's looking pretty guilty. Eliza and Cook are arrested and charged with the willful murder of Caroline Walsh and person unknown. They just slid that in there. I don't know who the unknown person is.
Okay.
The court records were literally like, and other people we think, but we don't know them and you don't know them. But we're going to tag them onto this.
Classic.
Eliza and Cook both claim they are innocent. They also arrest Edward, the 12-year-old, and put the family members in separate jails to see what they know without letting them get their story straight.
Do you know if he's a 12-year-old or like actually an 18-year-old in responsibility and behavior? You know when they
I know his emotional maturity. They didn't note on it.
Well, back then, it's a lot of times 12-year-olds are really like emotionally older because they have to start work early and take care of family and shit like that.
He's in school.
Okay.
He's a 12-year-old schoolboy, but he has these two as parents. So
yeah, yikes.
It's anybody's guess. Now, Edward is 50.
Okay.
And he had been a watchman, but then at the time of the disappearance, he was a laborer down at the docks with a suspected background in grave robbing.
Ooh, that's a lovely hobby.
Yeah. The Morning Chronicle describes 33-year-old Eliza as a large, raw-boned, and coarse-featured Irish woman.
Wait, I need to break this down. Raw-boned?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
What the fuck does that mean? Raw-boned.
This is like one of your tea reviews, but what I can gather from it is she was not a delicate, attractive woman, is what they're saying.
Okay.
Raw-boned.
I'm going to look this up later.
Yeah, please do. I'm not sure. Coarse featured. I think.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's more along the lines of she probably has a hard look about her.
Yeah.
I mean, hello.
Yeah, growing up in a cesspool.
She is furthest away from the cesspool being in the attic, so she's got that going for her. And she's known about the east end of town for her remarkable bad habits and violent disposition.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Charming couple.
Yeah, they're the couple of the year. Eliza was sometimes a charwoman, which we know we love that term.
We do.
Where her, quote, masculine proportions were helpful.
Wow.
Also,
tall.
Morning Chronicle. Morning Chronicle really delivered. I don't even think she's that tall. I think that we'll get into it. Remind me. We'll circle back.
Okay.
Because muscles aside, she drank too much, was probably an alcoholic. She also stole from all of her previous employers. And she had also done time before why don't you go ahead and earmuff?
Oh.
Yeah, you're not going to like what she did. For skinning cats and selling their fur. Eliza had gotten into a squabble with a neighbor and words were exchanged. And as revenge, Eliza took the neighbor's cat, skinned it, and threw the cat at her neighbor's feet. She served 3 months in jail for this. She was said to walk around town with a sack full of cat skins. So, absolutely disgusting.
She's back.
Yeah, don't listen to that in post because she was mean to animals, okay?
Oh, no. That's when I murder people.
Yeah, you would have lost it. She also allegedly would lure children into an alleyway and then steal from them.
What?
Yeah, she is just a gem and a half.
If I want to have a slumber party with anyone, it's definitely her.
Yeah, this is why Anne said, Caroline, Grandma.
Hard no.
no, what are you doing? Do not live with this woman. She hurts animals. She steals from children. She steals from employers.
Gross.
Her husband's getting corpses out of the ground. Don't, right? Last but not least, rumors also circulated, and I don't know if this was before or after, but that Eliza and Cook had, maybe Cook was involved. He's kind of on the fringe of all this, had murdered other women. So fruit women or servants who were out of work would come and stay with them for a moment, and then they would disappear. However, Eliza always seemed to have their clothes.
Just like Willy Wonka.
What? Does Willy Wonka have
in
his
the
clothes?
new movie, they trick people into being their servants, but they don't kill them because that would not be a kids' movie.
All right. Took a weird turn. Now, at trial, Anne is one of the main witnesses. Anne is married to a peddler, which means her husband's on the road a lot.
I thought a peddler, isn't that a beggar?
No, like they have a cart and they go around selling things.
Oh, like literally using pedals to get around.
I don't know if he has a bicycle.
Okay.
I'm not, again, I did not double down on this one tiny detail, and I'm sorry that I mentioned it. That's where I feel nothing but regret for this moment. Anyway, he's on the road. Okay, he's like a traveling salesman.
He's pedaling.
Let's say that. All I picture is him being a flower girl now, which is like on a bike throwing actual pedals, and that's what you think he does, just to like mask the smell of all the poop in the
that's a good idea.
Streets. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Anyway, so because of this, she sees her grandmother a lot. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's the whole point. Even though they don't live together. And because Eliza had been arrested basically on the fact that she sold Caroline's clothes, they don't have a body. She just went missing. A lot of importance is put on what Caroline owned and was wearing the day of August 19th.
Oh.
Anne had spoke to her grandmother, and she testified that she was wearing a black dress, a blue shawl, a black bonnet, and was able to further describe her grandmother's appearance. She said that the bonnet was made of willow and was actually ripped and held together with 2 pins.
Okay.
Caroline also explained that underneath the dress, she had a purple petticoat, a shift, gray socks that Anne herself had knitted.
Aww.
So she knows what they look like, and confirmed that her grandmother also wore men's shoes, which did not fit her well, causing the heels of the socks to be ripped.
Okay.
She was also adamant that her grandmother always was clean in appearance, which, based on the description from earlier, is maybe not the easiest thing to achieve, and something that will be called into question. That she purposefully said her grandmother would wash her face.
Okay. Also, she has teeth.
Also, we've got the set of teeth. She's also reported all of the odd things Eliza said, right? Like, here's a cup of gin.
Like really weird.
Did I murder your grandmother? Do you want to grab lunch? During Anne's entire testimony, get this, Eliza is shouting at her, calling her a drunken bass strumpet.
Oh, love that. I need to call people strumpets more.
Yeah, bring it back. But it seems in poor taste in this moment.
Yeah, it's not the best add to her character in front of a judge.
Yeah. Now, Lydia, Anne's sister, and Caroline's other granddaughter, takes the stand. FYI, I don't know what I'm about to get into, but I did write down that Lydia's husband is a boot closer because I thought it was funny, but please don't ask me much more about it.
A boot closer?
Yeah, he just sews the top of boots.
Why?
Like, not the top so you can't put your foot in, but I assume the seams.
Okay.
He just sews all the boots shut. And then he's like, then he charges 5 shillings to open them. It's such a business while Anne's husband is throwing rose petals all through London. These guys are super successful. Lydia also saw Caroline before she disappeared.
Okay.
The day before, and confirmed her wardrobe. Said the same thing as Anne.
Okay.
And she knew that she was going to stay with Eliza. She also noted that her grandmother had a pocket. Now, that seems weird, but like at the time, like Claire had one in Outlander. They strap around you.
We're just getting pockets now, okay, guys?
They're coming back. It strapped around you and was like under your skirt.
Yes.
And that was also handmade by Anne.
Oh.
And her sister says that her grandmother reached in and pulled a biscuit out of the pocket and handed it to her great-grandchild because Lydia has a child and she was holding the baby. What a grandma
move.
I know, right? It's like a Werther's original.
Yeah,
for the 1800s. I had several thoughts about how clean that biscuit might be, but it's still a sweet gesture.
I did think that too. Is Anne married?
What part of her husband is a peddler?
Oh, right. Sorry. I kept thinking because he's gone. I kept thinking, where is her husband?
Well, he's
pedaling around throwing flowers.
He's Lance Armstrong. He's busy. So Lydia has children, and right,
but Anne doesn't.
I don't know.
Okay.
Stop. Who knows? They're probably flower petals. I don't know what's going on. Now, Lydia had also gone to the workhouses and the hospitals with Anne searching and testified to that her grandmother was nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
The two women had searched. Here's where it gets real spicy. Edward, the 12-year-old, who was also arrested, became the biggest witness in the case. His testimony changes absolutely everything about his parents' fate. Here's what he said. He attends Aldgate Charity School during the day, but he returns home for meals and every day after school. On Friday, Edward came home like any other day, and there was an old woman. They constantly call her old woman, which is rude, but I'm just telling you what they called her.
I mean, in his home before in the 1830s, so
yeah, in his home along with his mother and father. He didn't really know the older woman, but he had seen her around selling things. Plus, they'd been neighbors. The four of them had coffee and tea together, and then the woman went to bed to lie down. Now, the papers noted it's unusual to make coffee so late at night. And afterwards, Caroline had gone straight to bed, and Edward and the paper implied that maybe something had been put in the coffee.
Oh.
After 30 minutes or so, Edward said that his mother, Eliza, went over to the woman, put her hand over her mouth and the other hand on the woman's chest for what he estimates to be close to 30 minutes.
That's such a long time to hold your hands in one place.
Cook walked into the room, so his father, looked out the window, never speaking to Eliza or telling her to stop. The only words he heard spoken were by his mother when she said something about a hospital, but he couldn't make it out, and Cook didn't answer her. After Eliza took her hands off the woman, Edward said she appeared to be dead. Another 30 minutes go by. Eliza picks up the woman, apparently by herself, and took her out of the room. Edward did not...
There's those masculine qualities.
Right. Edward did not see Eliza the rest of the night and went to bed around midnight. When he woke up the next morning, Eliza was there and his father was gone. After breakfast, Edward left the room and went down to the cellar. Apparently, there's some ducks that live in the cellar.
What?
But while he's looking for the ducks, he saw a sack with gray hair sticking out of the top of it.
No. How big?
A sack that he recognized from his parents' room. Black fabric was also later found in the basement, and you'll remember she was wearing a black dress. Later that night, Edward then saw his mother carrying the same sack across the yard.
Is it a big sack or a small sack?
I mean, it fits an entire body.
Well, I didn't know if she was chopped up.
No.
Okay.
No, you'll know why in a second. Eliza told Edward she had taken the body to the hospital. This 100% blames Eliza for the murder.
Yeah.
They don't have a body, so without this, you could argue that Caroline had run away or had an accident. But with this testimony... I mean, it's the most damning piece of evidence, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But you still, like you brought up, you might be wondering why. What's the motive?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a 12-year-old, so maybe you could rip that apart by saying he was making something up. There's no motive. Why should we do this? But in this day and age, grave robbing is a real problem. And people will rob a grave for a body to sell it to the medical schools.
Wow.
There had been talk, right, that we talked about Cook being involved in that, selling the body.
Oh my God, yes.
But the condition of the body matters. And what ended up happening is people who were desperate for money or cruel, or, obviously both, started murdering people and selling those bodies to surgeons.
Oh my God.
This form of murder was called burking.
Burking.
Yeah. It's named after the murderer, William Burke, who had been executed just 3 years before Eliza. So you can see how this is a hot topic of the time.
Yeah.
Burke and his partner, Hare, both were born in Ireland. They moved to Scotland in the early 1800s. Hare was an innkeeper and became upset when one of his tenants died and still owed him money. To recoup his losses, He stole the man's corpse and sold it to a surgeon for nearly twice what he was owed.
Wow. I think the medical industry has some part to play here. Like they need to verify the bodies.
Yeah. After this, the two men graduated from stealing corpses to actively killing lodgers in order to sell the bodies.
That's what's happening. Like they're like, who's going to miss this healthy old woman?
Burke would sit on a person's chest while holding a hand over their mouth because this method left very few, if any, marks on the body, and the men would receive more money for that.
That's what's her name did.
Exactly. And this, like, your surprise is the same that I was feeling. This isn't a problem you think about, right? Of all the problems going on at this time, I'm not thinking the anatomy schools don't have enough corpses.
Right. Right? Like there's so many people dying. Just take those actual like deaths from diseases.
And women's bodies in particular are even more in demand. I read a book which has an amazing name. Hold on. Women and the Gallows, 1797 to 1837, Unfortunate Wretches by Naomi Clifford.
Wow.
Love it. I'm loving it. She explains in that book that doctors usually conducted examinations of women, live women, under a sheet. So they didn't see anything improper. So they barely know anything about women. So I imagine
this is not shocking.
Women's bodies might even be worth more money, right? Imagine the medical diagnosis you're getting. If you're like, hey, I have this rash on my abdomen, and they're like, oof, let me just feel it under a sheet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good Lord. What if you get a UTI? You're fucked.
Well, they don't have to look at a UTI. Good Lord.
That's true.
Let me just...
Yeast infection? No, that's the same thing.
Okay, we're done here.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so that's what Edward is basically describing. And with Cook's background in grave robbing and Eliza's just general...
This is all fitting together.
Despicableness.
Yeah.
This is all seeming like, this tracks. But I will note,
Edward.
To be fair to these despicable humans, I will note that one paper reported they thought it was odd because in August, when Caroline was most likely murdered, the schools were out of session. So why would they buy a cadaver at that time? But I feel like you could just sell it to a surgeon.
Opportune moment. I mean, like you see this woman grab her.
Yeah, I don't know. The other people who live in the same building as Cook and Eliza are in court as well. You have Elizabeth Jones, who is a neighbor. So Eliza and her family are in the attic, right? Mm-hmm. Elizabeth and her husband and 3 kids live on the ground floor. Mrs. Shields is on the first floor, and she has a 12-year-old boy and a 14-year-old boy. One of those boys owns the ducks. And Mrs. Steele lives alone on the second floor. Okay. Now, the bathroom for the entire house is in the cellar.
No, I don't want to go.
But it's rarely used by anyone because so many rats live down there, which is where the body was stored for a short time, or at least according to Edward.
In the poop?
No, like kind of tucked into a corner. So even if you went down there, you would potentially miss it. Wait, but because Edward was looking for the ducks, he saw it.
If
the ducks are the
hero. If they're not using the cesspool, where are they going?
Yeah. My next note. There is another privy that is in a different location that is apparently better, and they would use that one.
Got it.
Okay. It's near the house, and it was used more frequently.
Okay. Like an outhouse.
Elizabeth testifies that she saw an old woman, again, Caroline, arrive at the house on Friday the 19th. She was described as tall, wearing a black gown and a bonnet with a blue shawl and men's shoes. It's exactly what Anne had said she owned. Elizabeth noted that she appeared very poor, but still tidy, which becomes important later, which is why Anne was talking about how her grandmother always washes her face. But Elizabeth did not actually see her face, so we can't say for that, but she said she appeared tidy from what she saw. And she saw her walk upstairs. The woman who Eliza sold Caroline's belongings to also testified. You have Mary Sable. She bought a pair of gray socks from Eliza that had been darned at the heels. Right? Eliza also offered her a bonnet in which she described as a plum petticoat.
Yep.
Purple, a shift, and a blue shawl. But she did not buy anything except the socks.
Oh, man.
Sarah Cotton bought a blue shawl from Eliza. Another woman named Hannah was offered the shawl but did not buy it. Instead, she bought some threads and a pocket. The exact pocket that Anne had made her grandmother. Also a baby's cap. I don't know where that came from, but it was in there. And 2 yards of ribbon.
Okay.
The only doubt cast upon the trial was the possibility that Caroline had fallen ill and had been taken to a hospital. And this came through a church official named John Scales. He reported a woman on the 20th of August resting on the church steps. She needed help. She was in pain and she could not walk without assistance. Mr. Scales got her bread and a drink. She said her name was Catherine Welchman. He said the woman was very tall and stated her age as 60 to 70. I mean, we're going to get into this more, but already I'm like, if you see a 20-year-old named Megan, it's not me. I don't understand why this is so. They were like, this is it. This is her.
This is it.
Like, so many things are off, guys. So many things. Anyway, an assistant surgeon named Thomas Bailey saw this woman as well. He described her as very dirty. That's why Caroline's appearance matters so much.
Okay.
And that she was very ill. The woman had a basket with a jug and matches. She died at the hospital on September 3rd.
Okay.
John Robinson backs up this story that Mr. Scales had dropped an ill woman off at Tibble's poorhouse. He works there. The woman stayed for 4 to 5 days and then she went to the hospital. A woman named Barbara Holmes is also an attendant at Tibble's poorhouse. She describes the woman she took care of. And this is not favorable, but it's to discern. She says, she spoke like an Irish woman and said she got no relations at all. She was in a very dirty, filthy state and very lousy. She had no shift on. Her clothes were burnt on account of their filthy state. She had an old, narrow-striped blue washout gown and a little bit of a shawl, which was snuff color, and a black silk bonnet. I am sure it was not willow. She had on a pair of old black stockings. They were not knitted. I saw her feet. She had very filthy and dirty long feet, and her hip was broken.
Just makes you sad too. Like,
so sad
that
for this
woman of that age is like just left out like that.
I know, right? You don't even get to talk about this poor woman who.
Yeah.
But okay, her hip is broken. Caroline was seen walking up the stairs before she disappeared. Her hip wasn't broken.
Yeah, she's healthy. She's clean.
Also, she's not wearing any of these things. Like, they're both wearing a black dress, but nothing else is the same. The woman's like, it was a silk bonnet. It wasn't made of willow. It was a different color shawl, different color socks. Everything else is different. Another nurse at the hospital, Sarah Redmond, says she treated a Catherine Welch, so the name's changed a little bit, for a fractured hip. The woman was 61, described as filthy and missing her front teeth.
Oh, there's the teeth.
There's another, we know it's not the same woman, okay? We've got teeth now.
I've got teeth.
To take it a little further, and also viewed the body to be sure and confirmed that is not my grandmother. One, she has teeth. My grandmother has teeth. This woman doesn't have her front teeth. Two, the poor woman in the hospital had bunions and her toes were crossed. Her grandmother did not have either of those things. Her grandmother also didn't have a broken hip that she knew of. And the basket the woman carried was not the one her grandmother carried.
Keep up, guys.
It's not happening.
No.
Now, Officer Lee, or Leah, I'm not sure how he pronounced it, watched over the family while they're in the prison cell. Remember, they brought all three in. Yep. They're in separate cells, but they're next to each other. And so he's hearing them yell to each other.
Oh my God, must be entertaining.
And he reports on what they say in court.
Nice.
This is through the Old Bailey court records. Eliza starts the conversation with, they call Edward Ned, which again, it's like a Richard Dick thing for me. I can't make the jump, but that's what they're talking about. Ask little Ned, who told him to say what he had been saying about me. The man, so that she says this to Cook, because I think Cook's in the middle. Cook calls out, Ned, your mother wanted to know who told you to say what you have been saying about her. The boy answers, nobody. The man returns that answer to Eliza. Eliza then says, Ned, ask Ned, so I guess she's talking to Cook as well, how he came to say what he's been saying about me. The man repeats the question, and the boy calls out very loudly, why? Because she did it. To which Eliza says, what did he say? And Cook tells her, and she responds with, oh, Lord Jesus, then we should suffer for this what we know nothing about. And Cook says, God knows I had no hand in it. Never mind, there is nothing in this world that we wish to live for. There will be forgiveness by God in the last moment.
How about your child?
So I don't think they're super pleased with Edward right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
An officer further reports that Cook said Caroline, because they talked to each one separately, Cook said Caroline had made her own bed. Remember, Eliza said they cuddled.
Cuddle party.
And that he saw Caroline at breakfast. He went out to find work, and when he came back, she was gone. That's Cook's version of events. It's like the first time you hear about it. So it varies a little bit from Edward and Eliza's. Eliza, of course, says she's innocent. That the only reason she had Caroline's clothes is because Anne gave her those items, and that her son is a liar.
Okay. She
seems to also be making an attempt to link the woman treated at the hospital, Catherine, as Caroline. She says that Caroline was dirty and did not have a shift, and that Anne knew this, which everybody else said was incorrect. Eliza also claimed that a man, who she did not name, approached her son Edward in prison and told him to blame his mother. Eliza said, "I blame the schoolmaster for corrupting my child and nobody else." And she said her son had been paid for his testimony.
Oh, boy.
Cook says Eliza's innocent and the son is lying.
He probably,
he kind of has to. And I don't think it makes Edward doesn't make Cook look great either.
I know. He probably hates his parents, and I don't blame him for it. They seem awful.
They seem terrible. So Cook said, the boy left the room and went to school, leaving the old woman and me in the room. She swept the room up, smoked her pipe, put some matches in her basket, and said she should go out, but not stop long. That is all I know of her, so help me God. He also additionally made a plea, which I found interesting. Again, Morning Chronicle, which is my new favorite 1800s paper. There is one more thing I have to say, your worship, and that is to request, if we could suffer this, that 2 or 3 gentlemen whom I see now will take care of the boy and not let him want. Though he has behaved so ungrateful, but I hope God will forgive him for what he has said.
For speaking the truth.
To which Edward started sobbing in court.
Oh, he's only 12.
I know that's young. That's the trial, right? That's the gist.
I feel like we got this case settled.
The jury returns 2 separate verdicts.
What?
Edward Cook, not guilty. Eliza Ross, guilty, sentenced to death.
Oh, shit.
But Edward Cook was then charged for being an accomplice later on, right?
That means...
but he had to go through another trial.
Okay.
But we'll get there. Eliza was executed very quickly, making her the last woman or man to be found guilty of burking, which is the method of death.
Mm-hmm. How do they kill her?
Hanging. In case you haven't guessed, she's not popular. She wasn't popular when she went in, and this isn't helping, right? Again, Morning Chronicle. Man, I should have just read the whole article. Reports, the persons in attendance in the prison agree in the opinion that she is one of the most resolute females they ever in their awful experience had turned a key upon. And they do not expect that she will confess a tittle.
A tittle!
Yeah, I thought you'd like that. A tittle. They don't expect even a tittle from her.
God, give this writer a Pulitzer, man.
Please. She maintained her innocence. There's zero support for her. Everyone's like, we don't care. You did it. Stop talking.
Yeah.
She had not been like before. She's not like now. She requested to see both her son and Cook.
Yeah.
And they were afraid that she would destroy her son, and they refused to let him.
I mean, fair.
Yeah, very fair. Eliza did make one odd confession, though. Nothing to do with the murder. But she said Eliza Ross was not her real name, and she was glad the truth had not been discovered because she's technically still married in Ireland.
What?
So,
of course.
This woman.
Oh, boy.
As she's being prepared for her execution, the actual day where they pin your arms down, the Cambridge Chronicle quotes her as yelling, "Oh, Lord, what a shame to murder an innocent woman in this manner." Meaning her, not Caroline.
Fuck up, bro.
I declare before God and man that I am innocent. Oh, why did I come to this country to be butchered? Mr. Wantner, I thought you were more of a Christian gentleman than to hang a poor, innocent woman. Why did you not send me out of the country or shut me up in a cellar for life?
Does she have an Irish accent?
Probably. They have persecuted my poor boy to forswear himself and give false evidence against me.
Okay, sweetie.
She follows that up with, basically, if I'm going down, Cook should go down too. Which I don't necessarily disagree with her for, but it's...
I mean, they went through the trials of justice.
Now, Cook this whole time is like, Eliza's innocent. He continues to say that.
Really?
He keeps saying the woman left the house, she was fine. But I imagine he's been acquitted of the murder, and then he's also actually acquitted of being an accomplice, which I think is ridiculous.
But he was clearly in the room.
He was in the room.
Like, he says didn't stop her.
I know, but I guess I can see where they're coming from a little bit because he's saying, he saw her alive and he never had any of her possessions.
Yeah, I get it. I get why the jury did that, but like still.
Yeah, still. Anyway, also, what's he going to do? Be like, oh, yeah, no, she totally did it. I saw it. Because then he's definitely going to be, they're like, okay, well, now you're guilty. I mean, he can't really go back on it. He probably helped more than Edward either knew or said because Caroline was described as a very hardy, tall woman.
Yep.
And even though Eliza's described as masculine proportions, her actual autopsy doesn't appear that that's really true. They probably were just kind of adding on a little bit more since she was such a nasty person. They went with that description. I don't know if she could have carried her from the attic all the way down to the basement solo. Right. I mean, maybe, I guess.
If you have no care for welfare, you could just drag.
I guess, yeah.
It would just take a while, you know what I mean?
You would think that somebody would see or hear that.
Right, on one of the floors shared with a million other people.
Yeah, and then carry the body across the courtyard the next day. But, I mean, we talk about this all the time. I hate when they say that, oh, like, women can't do it. But
I could carry a body.
Oh, all right. Well,
sorry.
You guys heard it here.
If I had to.
Yeah, but down 4 flights of stairs?
Better than up. Down is easier. I just push it.
All right. Well, but anyway, I was just thinking it seems like if Cook was in the room, he might lend a hand.
He might have helped. Yeah.
It was probably he's the grave robber here.
Yeah, he's absolutely involved.
But anyway.
It's weird that he got off so light.
So anyway, Cook's like, yeah, she's innocent and my son's a liar. The Reverend visited Eliza and was like, last chance. You need to be forgiven for your sins. Confess. She says, I've done a lot of bad shit, but this isn't one of them. Now, the crowd had gathered to cheer as Eliza stepped onto the scaffold. In preparation of this, stronger barriers had been put around the execution site because they didn't want the crowd to rush it.
Yeah.
The hanging was not instant, and Eliza visibly struggled.
Oh, no.
And then was left to hang there for an hour like they do, which is common. They do that after an execution as an example. Ironically, Eliza herself was then sent to be dissected after her death, which is a common form of punishment meant to dissuade others from breaking the law.
Oh.
Her clothes were given to the executioner as part of the payment.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucked.
It's believed that they were sold and wax models were made of both Eliza and Burke with the original clothes, which means the executioner sold them to that person.
Gross.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much the case played a part in changing the laws, but the anatomy bill was passed the summer of 1832, and medical schools were provided cadavers from workhouses and hospitals. Well, now you're just taking advantage of the poor because these are essentially bodies that were unclaimed or the families were often too poor to hold a funeral, and so they couldn't claim the body.
That sucks.
Which is still not great.
Yeah.
It should be something where, like now, you can choose to donate your body to science.
Yeah, that's what I probably will do.
Gross. After he's found innocent of murder and all the stuff, Cook was charged, like I said, with aiding and abetting. He's also found innocent. He's like, I'm innocent. My son was paid for this. Edward is put in a workhouse in Whitechapel.
I was thinking about him. Where he's going to end up.
Those in charge of his care set up a meeting with Cook. So Edward and his father are meeting because they're like, well, if you really think he's lying, like now's your chance.
Yeah.
Cook does everything he can to get Edward to change his story, even bringing a lock of Eliza's hair to make the boy sad. And Edward sticks to his story. Will not change it.
Poor boy.
He's given another year of education and then he's sent away to sea. And they're like, you should just change your name and not look back. Good luck, son.
Sent away to sea?
Yeah, like 13, right? Or 14, depending.
But where? Like to work on a ship?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, poor kid. Just had the shittiest parents.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Did she do it?
Yes. 100%. I have no doubt.
I agree that she also did it. However, I will say, because there's no body, I don't know if she should have been executed. But she should have had life in prison.
I'm never in support of execution.
I also think Cook should have received life in prison.
Cook should have gotten a sentence of some sort. Like,
I mean, if you're just
he was in the
watching
room while someone was getting strangled, essentially.
Yeah, and quietly, like, contemplating he was being a naturalist out the window. Like, what do I see out there? No, Cook.
What do I
No.
see?
They're both
Yeah.
despicable. Honestly,
Despicable.
the part I earmuffed you for was enough for me. I was like, well, I don't even care what she's done after this.
Just knowing that you had to
Lock her
earmuff
up.
me for animal abuse is just, agreed.
Lock her
Enough.
up. We're done here.
Yeah, fuck her.
Yeah, she just seems like the absolute nastiest woman before.
Yes.
A lot of our women, we can see like, oh, life walked them up to this awful choice.
Yeah.
And they never made that choice again. But this one, I'm like, you were making this choice.
Yep.
Like,
Kicking dogs, stealing from babies.
Literally. Except cats. But yeah. And then she also was probably trying to kill Anne. Come sleep in your grandmother's bed. I'm like, what? No. Why would I do that?
Do you think
I have my
she
own
did it
house.
before?
I think she probably did. I think.
Yeah. This is a whole routine.
Yeah. The mistake she made here is that Anne gave a shit about her grandmother.
Yeah. Yep.
And she wildly underestimated that.
Yes. Truly.
I think before the person unknown that they said they charged her for, those were probably other domestic servants who didn't have family or, like they said, fruit women. So women who are selling fruit.
Fruit women.
I know, it's a weird term.
God, the titles back then really killed it.
Yeah. I think those were women that people didn't go looking for.
Yeah.
And Anne and Lydia cared.
Yep.
And knew from the start this is not good.
Yep.
You shouldn't stay here.
She
Grandma.
knew. Oh, if only she listened.
I know.
Seemed like a good grandma.
I know. 84 in that time. Are you kidding me?
I can't even understand that.
Oh. It's just really awful. I know, right? To have that hard life and then that's how
you end.
Children and elderly seem especially cruel.
Always. And pets.
Yeah. Okay, just everything. Everything's awful. Don't murder.
Don't do it.
And who's the person buying these bodies? Oof.
I'm not going to be part of that trade. I can't handle corpses.
All right, what are your last words?
One, we've said it before. I know we got a lot of issues now, but thank
it's the best time to be alive.
Fucking God, you're alive now because you could have a cesspool in your basement as your bathroom.
That you don't frequent because the rats are too fond of it.
Think of the smell. There's no way the smell is not rising into the house.
You could be a night soil man.
You could be a night soil man.
Think about that.
Ugh.
Even people who are in charge of porta potties, they just put a pump in and call it a day. Do you know what I mean? They don't have to crawl into the hole and shovel it into a cart and then drive that cart on a road with wooden wheels.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. My second thought was, I was trying to think if I had to go to any execution ever. Hitler's, maybe. I don't think I would, though. You know what I mean? There are some people who I'm glad are dead, but it's such a violent thing, you know?
Yeah. It's the most violent.
I just don't think I would enjoy that. But maybe if it was someone who, like, murdered my family.
I know. Even then, I feel as though I maybe wouldn't, but hopefully we never have to make that call. Yeah, you might. And I can in those instances, I can see why some people might want to.
Yeah,
I can totally understand that. I don't know if I would want to.
Right.
But I can understand that you want to see that it's over.
Justice been served, revenge, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a woman. What a gem.
Just gross.
Yeah. Pure gross.
Wow. All right. And who should listen?
People who are upset with day-to-day technology, medical access, and poop situations.
Is your internet slow? Listen to Caroline.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
listen the fuck up.
Get some perspective.
Yeah. Definitely helps perspective. Like, I mean, gosh, so thankful for everything we have. Let's see. Nieces, you can make a really big difference. Love your grandma if they deserve it.
Nieces? Do you mean granddaughters? Hello?
Yes.
Why
do you think niece?
Nephews, you can really help out grandmothers. If you have an aunt, just go find a grandmother.
I don't know why I keep thinking about nieces.
I don't know. It's hilarious.
Well, nieces and granddaughters, you've got this. Night soil men?
Yeah. Plumbers. In present day, you are the unsung heroes.
Yes, truly, truly.
I am so proud of you and everything you can accomplish.
I am so grateful.
Gosh.
And let's go with people who
Nieces?
people who accept corpses for medical study. We've come a long way.
Yeah. We're doing way better with a little bit of regulation.
Yeah.
And not just stealing bodies and killing people.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right. Well.
All right.
Sorry. Nieces really crack me up. You can find us on all the platforms at
Tea Time Crimes.
You can email us at
teatimecrimes@gmail.com.
Please send us no, not reviews. Well, go ahead and review us, but then send us recommendations for Teas and Crimes. And we'll be back next week. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye-bye.
Good luck, nieces.
Go get them.